Alright, this is O54, Graphing Absolute Value Equations Notes. Objective, you'll be able to graph absolute value equations. So looking at this, we have our 10 by 10 graph, and our goal here is to graph this absolute value equation of y equals absolute value of x minus 2, closed absolute value, plus 3. So one of the old school ways of doing this is making a nice little t-table for ourselves. So we're going to do it old school first. So you have x and y. Then, to find the vertex, or in other words, the middle of our graph, what we got to do, we always take the opposite of the number that's here. So we have a negative 2, so we take our opposite, which is positive 2. And then whatever here is this plus 3. Whatever comes after the absolute value is our y value in our vertex. So we have the coordinate 2, 3. So we plot the coordinate 2, 3, 2 to the right, 3 up. We plot that coordinate right there. That's the one that's going to be in the middle, 2, 3. So two numbers that are greater than 2 are 3 and 4, and two numbers that are less than 2 are 1 and 0. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put 0 in for x. 0 minus 2 gets us negative 2. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 plus 3 gets us 5. So we have the coordinate 0, 5. So we plot the coordinate 0, 5. We plug in 1. 1 minus 2 gets us negative 1. The absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. So positive 1 plus 3 gets us 4. So the next coordinate we need to plot is 1, 4. So 1 to the right, 4 up. Next up is 3. So we put 3 in. 3 minus 2 gets us 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. And 1 plus 3 gets us 4. When we plug in 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. The absolute value of 2 plus 3 is 5. So we got 3, 4. And 4, 5. We now connect them. Awesome, and that's how we successfully graph the absolute value equation. Let's try another one. So first thing is to find the vertex. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. So we do negative 4, comma, on negative 1. Put in parentheses. So that's our vertex. So we plot that coordinate, negative 4, negative 1. Plot it right there. We can make a t-table, just to stay nice, neat, and organized. So negative 4, comma, negative 1 is our vertex. We do two numbers less than negative 4, which are negative 5 and negative 6, and two numbers that are greater than negative 4, which is negative 3 and negative 2. Alright, so then we plug in negative 3 in, so negative 3 plus 4 is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1, so 1 minus 1 gets us 0. So at negative 3 it's going to be 0. So negative 3, 0, we plot that coordinate. Then we're going to plug in negative 2. Negative 2 plus 4 gets you 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2, minus 1 gets you a 1. So we plot a coordinate there. We also plug in negative 5, and you'll see that we get 0. And then you plug in negative 6, and you're going to get 1. So we plot those coordinates also. So negative 5, 0, right there. And then negative 6, 1 is right there. Then we plot those coordinates and we connect them up. We make our lines and we successfully graphed y equals x plus 4 minus 1. Alright, now this one's going to be a little bit more different. Now we have a number in front of the absolute value. So what we know, that's going to mess up our vertex a little bit. Now let's actually use a graphing calculator to help us figure this out. So what I need you to first do is hit the graphing calculator on by hitting the on button. And after hitting the on button, I need you to hit the y equals button, which is located in the top left hand corner. Then next to the y1 equals, I need you to type in this equation. I'll give you a second to do so. So once you type that in, so you hit number 2, to get an absolute value, just in case if you don't know how to find that, you hit the math button, scroll to the right, under num, and then number 1 is ABS. So you have 2 ABS, open parentheses, x minus the 1, close parentheses, minus 3. We hit enter. If we hit the graph button, you can see what our graph is going to look like. So you could see our vertex is going to be 1, -3. But just to confirm, you hit second graph and you could get a table. So you could go to x at +1, and you see that's the smallest value in our y1. It loops. So with that table being brought up, it actually just gives us the table, so we don't have to plug in every single one in that long-term process. So once you're able to identify the vertex, which is 1, -3, it's actually not that bad. You could just plug in the rest of the table by hitting the table button. Like I'm doing right now. So you have -1, 1. So -1, 1. 0, -1. 1, -3. So I'll make nice straight lines. And there we have it. There's the absolute value equation here. So we have y equals 2 absolute value of x minus 1, close absolute value minus 3. And that's our answer. That's what it looks like graphed. Alright, let's try this one here. So we have -3 absolute value of x plus 1 and then plus 4. So what I need you to do is hit your y equals button, clear it, the original one that we had. Then I'm going to have you type in -3 math, scroll over to NUM, and then you see an option number 1 is ABS, open parentheses. ABS stands for absolute value, so you're going to hit enter. And now it should automatically bring you back to the y1 equals screen. Then we're going to type in x plus 1, close parentheses, plus 4. And then hit enter. So you're blinking on the y2. Then I hit graph. And you see what the graph looks like. It's now, the V is going upside down. In case if you don't have a graphing calculator, it looks something like this. And of course I'm going to do it more accurately in a second. The V is upside down, because that's because we have a -3 right there. So let's first plot this vertex. If you don't know already, you take the opposite of the +1, and you know that's really -1. And then you write whatever right here on the right side. That +4, that's the number we're writing in there for our y value. So we plot that coordinate, -1, 4. Make our little T-chart so you guys see nice and pretty. So -1's in the middle. Two numbers are greater are 0 and 1. Kind of flip-flops on you a little bit, sorry. -2, -3. -1 you know is 4. When you plug in 0, you get 1. When you plug in 1, you get -2. And vice versa. So negative 1, 4, negative 2, 1, and negative 3, negative 2. And that's our graph of y equals negative 3, absolute value of x plus 1 plus 4. All right, let's look at this next one here. We have negative 5, absolute value of x plus 3, then plus 7. So I hit my y equals button. I type in negative 5. Then I do math, scroll over to NUM, hit the 1 for ABS. Then we do x plus 3, close parentheses, and then plus 7. We hit our graph button. Let me see what our graph looks like. We go to our table. We know we need to go to negative 3 on our table as far as our x values, because that's where our vertex is. We got the vertex by doing the opposite. And then what's on the outside, so negative 3, 7. Let's create that table. X, Y. Negative 3 is there in the middle. Negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, negative 4, and negative 5. 2, negative 3, 2, negative 3. Alright, so we plot our coordinates. Negative 5, negative 3, negative 4, positive 2, and negative 3, 7, a negative 2, positive 2, and negative 1, negative 3. Connect them up. And there we have it. It's graphing the standard form. Or sorry, graphing the absolute value equation there. All right, let's do another before we go into a little more challenging material. So we hit our y equals button. We do 3, math, scroll over to NUM, hit the 1 for the ABS, that absolute value. Then x minus 2, close parentheses, plus 2. Hit the graph button. We have our graph. We see 2 is where our vertex is, so we go to 2. So those are our coordinates. We got that from our table. 2, 2, 3, 5, 4, 8, and we graph it. And there's our solution. There's our graphed equation. All right. We got some tougher ones here. So what happens when there's a number in front of the x? So we're going to type that right into the calculator. We're going to do absolute value hit math num ABS of 2x minus 4, close parentheses, and then plus 2. We hit our graph button. We see what the graph looks like. Hit second graph button, you get to the table, and you see at 2 is where our vertex is, so it's 2, comma 2. You get that positive 2 from there. To get this positive 2, if you're going old school, you do 2x minus 4 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. 2x equals 4, divide by 2 on both sides, and you get x equals 2. Or simply use a graphing calculator to find it. A little bit easier. Go xy. You know the center one is 2, 2. We got 1, 4. And 0, 6. I got 3, 4, and then 4, 6. We plot those coordinates. 2, 2. 3, 4. And 4, 6. And we have success. So even when there's a number on the inside, you can still do it. It just messes up the vertex a little bit, so you have to look on your graphing calculator. Alright, see if you could do this one on your own before I fly through it. Alright, so you got x, y, here's our table, got negative 3, 1 is your vertex, the 2 numbers less, there's your table, you graph those coordinates, which hopefully I think you guys are getting the hang of this. All right, and there's another one if you want to try that one on your own. With the negative, don't be shocked if it gets flipped upside down, or maybe not. You'll find out when you try it on your own. Here's your classwork and your homework. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or come next shop. I'll be happy to help you out. All right, and have yourself a good night.